Hello, and welcome back to Catch the Vision video podcast, where we have real conversations that challenge how we think, how we see ourselves, and how we move forward with clarity and purpose. Today's conversation is one that many people need, especially for those who feel like they've done everything right, but still feel stuck or uncertain when it comes to money. A money mindset and accountability coach who helps people understand that financial struggle isn't just about numbers, it's about beliefs, identity, and the stories we have been carrying for years. This is an honest, relative conversation about money, fear, confidence, and what truly has to change for lasting transformation. So, Dr. Wendy, welcome to Catch the Vision video podcast.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm so excited to be here with you.
We are so happy to have you. So we're not going to digress. We're just going to dive right in talking about money because, as I said earlier or during the intro, that most people have a fear of money, and that's either you don't know how to spend it properly, you're unlearned when it comes to finances, or you spend too much. So we are just going to dive right into this.
Okay.
So if money wasn't talked about in your household, what did you learn about money without realizing it? And first off, was money a regular topic in your household?
That's such a great question. So money was not a regular topic in my household.
Mm-hmm.
I learned about money the way I would think most people learn about any item that's not discussed is you learn indirectly.
Yeah.
So I learned about money by watching my parents. We didn't have money talks, but as I grew up as a child and as a young adult, some of the lessons that I took away from them was, and I'm a product of the late 60s, so this, it's kind of like a different generation of mindset, but work hard, go to school, get your education, and you can earn a good living. And I learned, although they never talked about bills, but I never experienced some of the things that some of maybe classmates or other people mentioned. Lights off, no electricity, no food. We'd never experienced that. So in my mind, the connection that I made is that if you go to school, you get a great job, and you do what you need to do, then those will not even be an issue.
Right.
We fill in stories.
Right. So money was not discussed in your household. However, you learned indirectly from your parents about money. So can I say that was how you come to the realization about money? I guess maybe indirectly through the household is just knowing that bills had to be paid. We never went without anything, basically. So that was your indirect lesson with finances.
Very much so.
And I know for most people, money is not discussed in the households. It was not discussed in my household. But like you said, never experienced basically being without, So did I think we were rich? No. But it was not a major factor. So would you agree, Dr. Wendy, that most people don't have money problems, they have belief problems that they inherited?
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree solely based on not only personal experiences, but just in speaking with my clients as well. As we delve into these conversations, everything comes back to mindset.
Yeah.
And those unlearned lessons and the things that we see with our eyes and the way we've experienced money by watching other people experience money. So definitely it's more of what lives in here as to our connotations as to money, as opposed to something directly expressed or directly experienced.
Right. So either I'm going to do what my parents did with money, or it wasn't a good lesson, so I'm going to do the opposite.
Correct.
Okay. What's more dangerous, and I feel like this is a really, really good one. What's more dangerous, being bad with money or being confident while uninformed?
That is a really good question. I would say, based on, again, speaking with clients and just personal experiences, I think it's the same side, either side of the same coin, right? To me, bad with money is, it's like a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I don't think people are necessarily bad with money. Perhaps they're just uninformed
Yes.
about how money works.
Yeah.
Right? And so to the other side of the question, you can be confident but uninformed. So confidence may have to do with the type of income that you have, but you can still make very uninformed decisions.
Correct.
So I look at it like it's just different sides of the same coin. So I don't think one is necessarily worse than other. We make mistakes, money mistakes in general, because we're uninformed.
Yeah, yeah. Which is going to come to this good question. When did money stop being numbers for you and start representing safety?
Ooh, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
So growing up, I realized, I don't think I necessarily put it together in this, what I'm about to say now, but as you get older, you know, your experiences and your words mature.
Yeah.
But I realized at a young age, maybe leading into middle school, that he or she who controls the money has a lot to do with one's feelings of safety.
Oh, so look, listen. So you're saying that my mom was in control of our finances at home. So do you think my dad felt safe with her, like being in control of finances? Is that what I'm understanding?
It was the opposite.
Okay.
So both of my parents, they both work, they're
Yeah.
both educated, they both, of course, as a child, you don't know how much money they make, but I have 4 brothers, there are 5 of us,
Yeah.
never wanted for anything. But as I got older, there was some dysfunction there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I realized that money is power.
Absolutely.
And money, while it can buy certain things, it can never buy feelings of safety. So I learned, because of just some different situations,
Yeah.
that yes, it can buy houses. Yes, it can buy cars. Yes, it can buy necessities, right? We weren't, as the kids would say now, balling, but we had
Yeah.
all of our needs met, all of them, and a lot of the wants.
Yeah.
But I realized early on that it can't buy safety.
So let's break that down a little bit more. So we do know what money can buy. And so what would be an example of money not buying safety? So what would you classify as safety?
So if you think about safety, if you think about needs, like there's a very popular hierarchy of needs that goes back, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In Maslow's hierarchy, it's typically represented as a triangle, and the very first level of need is psychological. So it's food, safety, food, shelter, water, those things. And the next level is safety. So I would classify safety, personally speaking, as, so we had the food, we had the shelter, we had all of that.
Yeah.
But again, due to some dysfunction, there were just instances where it was very abruptly violent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And walking on eggshells
Yeah.
and fleeing.
Yeah.
And so those are things that I remember going to school and hearing like friends upset about certain things. And I realized, you know, the things that you're upset about, money can fix that.
Right. Right.
But money can't fix fear.
Oh yeah.
Money can't fix fear or safety. I think about, and not throwing Oprah under the bus,
Yeah, yeah.
before these GLP-1s, but she was always someone that I looked at as a perfect example of this, because here you have Oprah Winfrey, a mega media mogul as a Black woman,
Yeah.
first of her kind, et cetera, but everyone knows she's publicly struggled with her weight.
Right.
She's had private chefs, in-home chefs, everything. Money couldn't fix the mindset change needed
For her
to help her lose weight. Right. So there are a lot of things that money can't fix alone.
Right.
That it takes mindset to.
So
to
are
fix.
we saying that was the mindset would have been the safety for her?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then, yes. Then that makes that total sense. Yeah. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because if the mindset isn't there, I don't care how financially stable you are. If the mindset isn't there, in my opinion, you're really not financially stable.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because if your mindset isn't right, and yes, we're talking finances today, but in any discipline, if your mindset isn't grounded
Right.
and fueled with the right information,
Right.
we're all just one decision away from catastrophe.
Right.
Potentially, yes.
Right. That makes total sense, yeah. Would you say financial stress hits harder when money is tied to survival instead of strategy?
For sure. Because again, it goes back to safety, right? When we are feeling, if someone is experiencing basic needs that aren't met, survival needs, we're not thinking about diversification.
Right.
We're not thinking about the best ways to maximize what we have when we clearly do not have shelter or we clearly do not have food.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Got it. All right. So how many financial decisions do you think people make from fear? And then justify with logic?
Now that's a really good question.
That's a very good question.
That is a very good question. I think, not only I think, in talking with clients and just talking with people just on a daily basis, most decisions are made in fear. And when I say fear, I don't mean that kind of arresting fear like you're watching a scary movie fear, but fear that starts here. Fear of scarcity, fear of lack, fear of not being comfortable enough to ask the questions. Like we all know questions that we have, but sometimes people fear asking those questions for fear of ridicule, fear of being made fun of, fear of people thinking you're less than what you think they think you are.
And so out of that fear, you make impulsive purchases, and then later on, you're trying to justify
for sure
why.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. And so with that, and I think I kind of said it about making financial decisions out of fear, I also think that it is like impulse buying or impulse spending. And then, you get home with all me. I get home with all of this stuff and I'm like, for real, Wendy, you're wrong for this. But then, I'm like, well, you know what? It's cool. You needed these shoes. You listen, you needed the, you know what I mean? So I am trying to justify it. I am trying to make it make sense when I was wrong.
But, and you bring up such a great point, Wendy, that for most people, money is very much an emotional connection.
Yes. Oh,
it is very much an emotional connection.
Yeah.
And so, again, that's where that mindset shift comes into recognizing my individual emotional attachment and how we behave.
Yeah. So with it being an emotional attachment, Wendy, do you feel like that's why some people, and I know that we're not the only ones that hear people say, well, I may as well spend it. I can't take it with me. So, you know what I mean? So the person who's saying that, I feel like does not either have as much as the person that they're saying that to, but it's different when the shoe is on the other foot.
And not only when I hear that, I have had clients say that, and I always try to, again, if we're talking about creating safe spaces for people to express, you want to do that.
Yeah.
But oftentimes what I realize and share with clients is that again is a fear attachment. That again is a fear attachment because yes, you can't take it with you, but you're inadvertently placing a burden on the ones that are being left behind.
Right.
And is that something you really want to do? And when you kind of break that down in conversation, they realize, no, I don't want to. But having that mindset, well, I can't take it with me.
Right.
So why should I worry about them? I don't want them to live it up on my expiration.
Right.
But no one's going to live it up. You're placing, and that's even, Wendy, how generational poverty can persist throughout
Yeah.
a family.
Yeah.
Just those types of mindsets.
Right. And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
What's the most expensive financial lesson you ever paid for, not in dollars, but in years?
That's a really good one. That just comes readily to mind. So I can even tell the year.
Yeah.
About 2007, 2008. I was in a different industry at the time. And I'll never forget, as long as I live, my 401k dropped $30,000 in one day. It was around like the real estate kind of crash. There were like two things. One happened in 2007, one happened around 2008. And I felt wronged. I felt, my gosh, I worked so hard for this, right? And it really, for several years, caused an emotional reaction within me, of fear within me, that I didn't want to be involved. Now, I switched industries and no longer had a 401k at that point and moved into the TRS system, which is different. But I was very much emotionally affected by that. And it really clouded how I thought about investments, to the point I shied away once I left that system for years, because I just didn't want to feel that again, which is looking forward, gaining the information that I've gained and what I've learned now. That wasn't the right thing to do.
So was it that moment that made you want to know more about finances?
That was one moment, but that was one where I can honestly say, without hesitation, the emotional connection for me, right? Because as I'm speaking with people, I'm always reflecting on myself as well.
Yeah.
But that pain, it was almost physical.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that sense of being deprived or something being taken from me that I had worked so hard for.
Yeah.
But that's how the market works.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it works.
30,000 is a lot.
But it was a lot, and it hurt.
Yeah. Heck
right?
yeah.
And I just didn't want to assume that risk anymore. So I made decisions. So that was kind of the first eye-opening experience of my emotional attachment in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think people treat retirement accounts like savings accounts when they're emotionally overwhelmed?
Kind of the same reason. So if you have your retirement account, it's yours, it's there. You don't have to, and if you have a challenge or a life hiccup, the money is there.
Right.
And you don't have to qualify necessarily to get into it, like applying for some kind of loan or something, or borrowing from someone else. Right. It's there, but it is one of the worst mistakes, and I've done it. Yeah, right? I've done it. It is one of the worst mistakes you can make, because the ease is there. Now you're going to, depending on your age, you tap in, you're going to have to pay some penalties. Yeah, and then it depends, because sometimes life, as the young people say, life is lifing.
Yes,
and there, you can't penalize anyone's decision, but always understand the implications of those decisions. But retirement accounts, because they're right there, people sometimes don't understand the implications, the long-lasting implications of a very quick withdrawal. Yeah, it's not a savings account.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like that is the biggest point, is that it's readily available. You can get it. It's not like applying for a loan. And at the moment, you do feel like you need it, for whatever the case may be. But I don't think that it's thought about on the back end.
It's not. And the long-term implications of taking it out on the back end. Most people, if they tap in or when they tap in, I'll put it back.
Right.
That doesn't happen that often.
No, that as soon as you were saying it, I'm like,
it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. Is it fair to say financial ignorance is expensive, but financial fear is even more costly?
Yes. Because again, when you think of the fear, we're not talking an arresting fear that you saw a monster, but the fear that starts in here. Yeah. It is very costly, because a lot of times in speaking with different individuals, just over the years, that fear drives behavior and is fueled. Our thought processes are fueled by our experiences. And whether they're lived through us or lived through as young people watching the individuals who raised us.
Right.
So that fear, unless you're willing to tackle it and address it head on, is very much more, it can cost someone much more in the long run than just making a mistake.
Right, right. And you know, I do feel like most people, when it comes to finances, is going on what they saw. And as I said earlier, either you do the same or you do the opposite. But I feel like at some point, or maybe it shouldn't take for something detrimental to happen for you to say, okay, you know what? I need to dive more into this. I need to figure out, you know, why I'm, you know, penny pinching, or, you know, and I feel like for our culture, most of it comes from what we saw growing up. And not only that, what we saw growing up and what we didn't hear growing up.
Yes. And it's not only our culture, Wendy, that is such a great point. The more I talk to people, it's just in general. And I think it's almost more generational.
Yes.
Because now, you know, the kids do have opportunities in school now, a lot more opportunities than we had to learn.
Right, right.
But you're absolutely right. It's those experiences, because again, we're always learning, whether directly or indirectly. The indirect learning, money is emotional. Money is learned, and emotional attachments to money are formed long before even a child recognizes numbers and combining numbers. But they remember seeing mom or dad or grandma or grandpa react to certain things.
So what would you say, Wendy, to a client who at some point, I don't want to say necessarily has hit rock bottom, but finances didn't come easily to them. And so now that they are back on their feet, would you, I guess, how would you coach that particular client? Because I feel like I would probably be emotionally attached because I wouldn't want that to happen again. And instead of learning from that lesson and not repeating the same thing, that probably would be the safest thing to do, is just not to go that same path. But I feel like most people are just like attached, emotionally attached. They're like, you know what, I was there and I had to, you know, what they say,
beg, borrow, and steal.
So, you know, I don't ever want to be there again. So because of that, then, you know, we're just going to do the bare minimum. You know, we're eating at home every night. We may go out once a month. You know, how do you counsel a client that has been there and is taking every measure not to go back there?
And that's a really great question. And again, it comes back to just creating that, because most people don't even metacognitively think to that level. Why do I react this way? What, you know, we're so busy living that most people don't stop to ask themselves, why is it when I see this or this happens, they don't even break it down to that level. So the conversations start with just the awareness. And you'd be surprised, Wendy. So you have on the other side, I mean, you have individuals, we've all seen interviews with individuals who are on that other side. They may have started off here and have had some rocky roads, and now they are what we would call millionaires. But some of them still stay up, like you can read, they still stay up late at night because they're fearful of going back. Right. And again, it's tapping into the mentality and the mindset of what's going on, and identifying the elephant in the room. And then starting from there. And unfortunately, you brought up a really great point as you were leading into asking the question. As humans, sometimes we don't necessarily learn the first time. Sometimes we have to knock our heads.
We do. Yes.
touch that hot
Yes,
stove
yes.
more than once.
Right.
Until we have an experience that is so impactful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And you know what's real about that is how impactful does it have to get before we, or how many times we have to touch the hot stove before we realize it's hot. I don't need to do that.
Exactly.
You know?
Or how many times, or can we just realize that, hey, my cousin touched the hot stove.
Exactly.
And I saw what happened. You don't have to learn everything firsthand.
Right. But you know what, Wendy? I think with that, what you said, I'm not my cousin. You know what I mean? But 6 months down the road, I'm identical to my cousin.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so I do feel like we don't learn from each other. And the best lesson is a bought lesson, you know, and I like the question, and it asks something about what cost you so much, but you learned it in years. What's the most expensive financial lesson you ever paid for? Not in dollars, but in years.
Yes.
I think that is a really, really good question, because I think sometimes we don't think about that, because what happens with finances, and I'm going to also say with credit and stuff, you know, when you frivolously spend and you get yourself in trouble, it does take years for you to recover,
Right.
you know, from those things. So for those of you who are listening to us, I really hope that you are hearing
Definitely
what we're saying as it pertains to finances, because this is good stuff, and most of us definitely can relate. I totally can relate. I feel like what we have to do is be real.
That's the key, Wendy. That's one of the things that I feel differentiates me from others in my space.
Yes.
Is that I want to really take the time to create a safe space.
Yes.
No judgment.
Yes.
Where people can be honest with themselves
Exactly.
first. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're not going to fix anything.
No.
Information can be useless if you're not allowing yourself to really examine yourself.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with money, think about it. So we talked about the cousin burning their hand on the stove. There has been for so long money discussions. Most people won't discuss that.
I was just
even
about to
within
say,
your family.
no,
people want people to think that life is one way.
Right.
And I find in talking to different clients and different people, it's really not.
It's really
Most
not.
people, which is why I do not compare yourself to your cousin, to your neighbor, because quite honestly, you have no idea really what their situation. People want people to think.
Right. Just because I
They're living
drive
a
a
certain way.
Benz does not mean I live a Benz lifestyle,
That's
you
right.
know,
Or can afford the Benz.
Right.
Yes.
And that is a really, really good point, comparing ourselves to my cousin, the neighbor down the street. You know, they drive a 2026 Yukon, but are they able to do X, Y, and Z that I'm able to do? And I remember at some point, somebody had came, had been years, but someone I work with had come to work and was talking about their new house and, a boat and, whatever. And so every time we turned around, they were always at work, always wanting extra call, wanting to work holidays. And so for me, I'm thinking, why have this new house, the new boat, the new this? You don't even have time to chill at your new house. You're not even at the lake because you're at work. You know what I mean? So that's a great point. Just because you see someone doing something does not mean
that the back end systems and lifestyle support. And then just to piggyback on that really quickly, Wendy, so also as a licensed financial services professional, so I see these individuals with the house, with the boat, with the this.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed at how many of them don't have basic life insurance policies to protect that.
And you know what? I would be amazed, but then I probably am not, because I feel like what sometimes gets us in trouble with finances is trying to look and be something that we can't afford to be.
And that's a part of our culture. So we asked earlier, if things weren't taught, how are they learned?
Right.
You think about it. With all of the media, social media, we live, especially now, we live in a culture now where people will see things on television but this image doesn't live up to the back. So you're just seeing one thing. But there's no connection. There's such a disconnect between what one thinks they see and understanding that's marketing.
Yes.
That's not life.
Yes, that's not. No.
So
this is good, Dr. Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yes. And you know what? Wendy. That's why this is going so well, and we're just like dialoguing. Do you believe life transitions expose money gaps faster than any financial class ever could?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You think about it, life transitions. So I have my doctorate. I'm anal. I love school. I love everything about school.
Good.
Right? I love class. I love meeting people and learning. But there's no lesson, kind of what we said. Life transitions make things real.
Yeah.
So you can gain knowledge in a financial class, but for most people, if you don't have anything to apply it to, if it doesn't resonate,
right,
then it's information. It can come and go, come in one ear and out the other, because you don't have anything to attach
unless
it to.
you have the experience,
that lived experience right then and there, then it's meaningful. So life lessons will quickly expose gaps. Life's experiences will quickly expose gaps in thinking, gaps in like just how we manage what we have than a class ever could.
Definitely. Yeah. What moment forced you to stop planning life as we and start planning as me?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's easy. So several years back, I'd gone through a transition. I was in a relationship. I was married. And for several reasons, I decided, this is not a good place to be.
Yeah.
Right? But when you're married, you often think, wow, we've got this commitment and we are going to do these things together. So then you find yourself on the other side. So that was a very key moment. But what I have done with that and like to do is just realize that, you know what? Wendy, you're not the first, you're not the last, who was in a relationship where you realize this is not really, after all the patience and the praying and this, that, and the other, this is not
what I signed up for.
This is not what I signed up for. And there's so many people, but I realize it doesn't just have to be a divorce. There are lots of people out there who experience some type of life change, either through a death.
Yes.
Right. And so to me, part of my mission and my goal is to let people know whatever that is, you can still collectively pick yourself up by the bootstraps, get educated, find out. It doesn't mean things have to end, because there are lots of things. Children.
Yes, definitely.
Right. So but that was it. A lifestyle change that really made me think, okay, Wendy, we're going to have to think about things a little differently now, but we still think and take in the information.
Right. Why do you believe mindset must come before money mechanics?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we spoke about before. So you can know, right? There are books everywhere. The internet's everywhere.
Yeah.
Information is everywhere. So it's easy to access information that tells you if you want to invest, that explains what ETFs are, and the information is there. But again, if you don't address what's here and what's here first, you can end up in a cyclical pattern, right? How many times have we known something that we should do, whether it's eating well, exercising, whatever
yeah.
the case may be.
Yeah.
We know this.
Right.
The information is there.
Totally.
But we actually, until we tap into why we're not doing something,
Yeah.
what we're afraid of, or whatever that is, and really tap into that, the information means nothing without really tapping into ourselves and understanding ourselves first. That's why mindset is so important.
Totally.
To keep you from repeating those habits that you know aren't good for you. But we'll do it anyway. That's just human nature.
That's human nature. Yeah. So what happens when people learn the rules of money but never unlearn the beliefs that broke them?
Oh, that's a good question. It kind of speaks again to what we were talking about, that cyclical thinking. So you can learn the rules, which is great. You have to be open to want to learn first, right?
Yes.
You have to be open to want to challenge your thinking.
So hold on, let me stop you right there. So you can be open to wanting to learn, but when the learning starts, maybe this is not what I wanted. Maybe I'm okay with,
because it takes work.
Okay.
It takes work. And again, Wendy, sometimes, which is why I like to just create this safe space with no judgment, where people can really figure out why they do what they do first.
And I think that is so important, creating that space, because we talked about early on how finances is not a huge topic in households.
True.
And so for whatever the reason is, and if there is not a safe space, excuse me, for someone to feel like, okay, I didn't talk about this, growing up. I didn't hear this being talked about when I grew up. So there must be something wrong with this subject, like what's really going on. So I think it is important for people to be able to open up, themselves, to be open to learning, and then open up mentally if there is a safe space, created. Excuse me. I really think that is important, because if not, I don't feel like, I think, there'll be like these mental blocks.
There are.
Yeah.
There are. We can, there's a saying, the worst person you can lie to is yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can't, I know I'm one like that. If I can't admit something to myself first, the best counselor, the best whatever, I'm not going to admit it to you if I can't admit it to me first.
Exactly. Yes.
So I have to deal with me first. We have to deal with ourselves first, because when we can do that, then we can open ourselves up to perhaps taking in something and understanding why we have always done what we've done. And if we desire to do something different, to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. What would you say accountability is the bridge between intention and transformation?
For sure. Definitely. You think about it.
But it goes back to like what you said. Yeah.
Yes, it does. You can want to, I always use weight, because that's an easy one, especially for women. We're always trying to lose 7 to 10 pounds, always. No matter what we look like, right? We're always trying to do that. So yeah, we want to.
Right.
And the information is there.
Right.
We know what we can do.
Right.
But sometimes, no matter what it is, I like to use that as an easy example, because most people can relate to that.
Yes.
At some point.
Yes.
But the accountability piece shows how bad do you really want it.
Right.
When you have to touch base and check in with someone,
Yes.
and they're going to hold you accountable to yourself and the things that you've decided that you want for yourself.
Yes.
That's what ties the intention with the end results.
I get it. This is our last question. If breaking generational poverty isn't about income, what actually has to change first? And I guess we just kind of talked about it. And it all comes back. Yeah.
Right. It all comes back to how we think about money.
So not only how we think, but with some of us, we have to reprogram.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's
Yeah.
our, we said it in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Money is an emotional
Yeah.
attachment.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So before we can tackle generational poverty,
Yeah.
we have to really understand why. And it sounds so simplistic. Wendy, you've said that 3 times, 4 times,
Yeah.
but it's true.
It's so true.
If we want to make that change, we have to understand, why are we doing what we do? Why
Right.
did our parents do that? Why did
Right.
their parents do? Or
Right.
however far back it
Right.
goes.
Yeah.
We need to just disaggregate that and look
Yeah.
at it and arm ourselves with information and make that commitment that, wow. And just financial illiteracy.
Yes.
People not knowing how money works
Yeah.
is a whole nother bunny
Yeah.
trail into
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
ending up in some of the places that we end up, not for not wanting to know or not wanting to do. We have a lot of hardworking people in this country. Some of them do very well. Some of them are making it, but could do a lot better if they just
right.
understood how money worked.
How it worked. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's good when we talked about, or you just mentioned, like breaking those cycles. For me, not just with finances, there are a lot of things that I used to do just because I saw it growing up. Don't even know. My husband will tell you, "Don't, babe, why are you doing that?" Well, my mama did it. Don't even know the reason, but just doing it because you saw it growing up.
Yes.
And so, because we didn't talk about finances in the home, I'm not going to talk about finances in my home. Don't know why we didn't talk about it then, but I guess it's not good to talk about it now.
Exactly.
And so that's how we get into this rat race of, of course, first off, it never being discussed. We continue not to discuss it until life happens or until we're, like beg, borrow, stealing or whatever. And then you're forced to.
Right. And the whole time, the children that are around watching this are
Yes.
picking up everything
Yes.
and are forced to fill in the blanks. So being an educator as well, I love it. There are great ways to introduce young people,
Yeah.
even children,
Yeah.
to financial literacy and financial stewardship.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. You probably grew up the same way. We didn't get an allowance. What?
No.
But now you have so many people that, all people, us
Yeah,
included,
yes.
want to pay their kids allowance,
Yes.
which is great, but make it worth something.
right.
Show them how to save.
Yeah.
Show them the importance of, if they have $5 or $10, they don't have to spend it all, that they keep
Yes,
X
yeah.
amount aside.
Yeah.
Show them how to delay gratification. Show them when they're early how they connect
Yes.
emotionally to the
Yes.
things that they want.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
My sister and my baby sister, she and her husband are really, really good about with their children, depending upon how much money they have. Okay, so how much are you going to put back? And what are you planning to do with the rest? Not that, you can't do anything with it,
Right.
but first off, how much of this are you planning to put back? So at a young age, even though finances wasn't just every day talked about in our household, my sister still, she and her husband with their children, it was always about saving. How much of this are you going to save?
Good.
What percentage of this are you going to save? And you are totally right. Whenever, Jordan house sits for me or whatever, yes, I'm going to reward him, for doing so. Did we get an allowance? No. Any chores that he does, I'm going to, pay him.
Sure.
Did that happen for me? No, honey, I fold
Right.
many towels.
Yes, yes. That was just how we earned dinner.
That was just exactly.
Yes.
That was how you earned a night's rest.
That's right.
Your
room.
Yeah, but so kudos to the parents that are currently teaching your children, the value
Yes.
of money, and not only that, but how to save. That you don't have to go through everything that you have.
Right.
I have a niece. She knows who she is if she watches this. She's like her Aunt Wendy. She has to have the latest of whatever. And I'm better now. but she will spend, you know, and so I am teaching her, allow me to be your lesson, you know, don't repeat the same mistake, you know, so I am every week on the phone with her, you know, about this is what you can do differently. This is what I need you to put back, you know, and it also goes back to it not being us. There may come a point where it's me.
Right.
And so I want her right now today in the mindset of it being me.
Right.
You know, so, but I can talk to you, Dr. Wendy, all day, all night about these finances because I feel like it's not talked about enough. Because if so, I do feel like we would do better, you know.
But we're starting today, Wendy.
We are starting today.
And for your viewers that are watching, have the conversations. It's never too early to start. And beyond that, it's never too early to start for yourself.
Right.
And examining your emotional attachments to money.
Yeah.
If you want to change how you move forward and create a new legacy for the next generation.
And you're going to have to, because having an attachment to it in a weird kind of way, you're not going to be able to move forward.
No.
Not at all.
And that's with anything. Yes, we're talking
Correct.
finances today, but if you have an attachment to anything, that could be unhealthy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's going to be hard
We can
to
think
move
of a
forward.
lot of different
Oh my God, yeah.
attachments that people have. It never ends up well.
Never.
So money
so
is just
good,
one
so
of those.
good. Oh, this is good. So this conversation really brings everything full circle because it reminds us that money isn't just about earning more. It's about thinking differently, choosing differently, and trusting ourselves enough to break patterns that no longer serve us. Dr. Wendy, thank you for sharing your story. I mean, truly, thank you for sharing your story and your insight so openly today. I know this conversation will resonate deeply with our listeners. And to everyone listening, if something on this episode challenged you or made you reflect, that's not by incident. Awareness is where transformation begins. Thank you for tuning in to Catch the Vision podcast. Until next time, keep seeing what's possible.